All right, let's talk about day 9 of the Kouri Richins trial because today had some really interesting testimony, especially from people who were actually in Eric's life. And honestly, the theme of today, Eric was telling people he thought Kouri had already tried to poison him. Not once, multiple times. Let's get into it. One of the witnesses today was Joshua Kays, Eric Richins' friend. These two weren't just casual friends either. They hunted together, worked together, talked often. They were close. And according to testimony, Eric actually called Josh the day of the attempted poisoning incident. When Josh spoke to him, Eric sounded somber, concerned, worried. And based on that conversation, Josh believed Eric thought Kouri had tried to poison him. Think about that for a second. Your husband calling a friend, concerned enough to talk about something like that. That's not casual conversation. And here's what's really been striking in this trial. Eric didn't just say this to one person. Multiple witnesses have now testified that Eric told them he believed Kouri poisoned him on Valentine's Day, which obviously raises a huge question. If this was supposedly just some allergic reaction, like the defense has suggested, why was Eric telling multiple people he believed his wife had poisoned him? That's not a normal conclusion someone jumps to. Next, we heard from Chelsea Barney, and this testimony was honestly really sad. Chelsea wasn't just some acquaintance. She had been friends with Kouri since 9th grade, and she even described Kouri as her best friend. But her testimony painted a pretty complicated picture of their relationship. For one, Chelsea testified that Kouri took $45,000 from her for what was supposed to be a down payment, and she was never paid back. $45,000. During testimony about that money, Chelsea became very emotional on the stand, which you can understand. Because imagine sitting in court testifying against someone who used to be your best friend. Chelsea also testified about a $250,000 loan that Kouri had taken out against their home. And according to her testimony, Kouri had told her about it, which ties into something prosecutors have been trying to show throughout this trial. Kouri was dealing with serious financial issues. The prosecutors believe that financial pressure may have played a role in what happened. But some of the most interesting parts of Chelsea's testimony involved text messages between her and Kouri. Those text messages were shown in court. And based on the context of those messages, it sounded like Kouri was framing the narrative about Eric's death to her friend. Almost like she was trying to shape how the situation looked from the outside, which I would not put past Kouri at this point. He also testified that Kouri had complained about a trust Eric had set up, one that made his sister the beneficiary. Next witness was Allie Staking, and what she said was extremely interesting. According to Allie, she had visited Eric and Kouri between Valentine's Day and Eric's death. And during that visit, Eric said something pretty insane. He told her he believed Kouri had poisoned him on Valentine's Day. Again, another person Eric told, which makes you start to notice a pattern. Now, according to Allie, when that accusation came up in the friend group, Kouri brushed it off. She reportedly said Eric was just being dramatic and that the situation was actually an allergic reaction. But here's the thing. Allie also testified that she had done THC gummies with Eric and Kouri in the past, but not on the trip before Eric's death. And that matters because toxicology results showed no THC in Eric's system. So whatever happened that night, it wasn't from edibles. Allie also talked about something else prosecutors have mentioned before, Kouri's affair with Josh. According to testimony, Kouri told Allie about the affair back in 2020, but then, just a few months before Eric died, Kouri told her that she had broken things off with Josh because she was choosing her family. Except, according to prosecutors, that apparently wasn't true, which again raises questions about what was really happening behind the scenes in this marriage. Another interesting detail from Allie's testimony was about Kouri's financial situation. Allie said she believed Kouri was successful in her business. She had no idea Kouri was actually drowning in debt, which suggests that even some of Kouri's closest friends may not have known what was really going on behind the scenes. And when you take a step back and look at all the testimony from today, you start to see a bigger picture forming. Eric told multiple people he thought Kouri had poisoned him. Friends were loaning her large amounts of money. There were financial pressures, an affair, and according to several witnesses, a pattern of Kouri controlling the narrative around Eric's death. Something that I really think about is if my husband had jokingly said in front of our group of friends that I tried to poison him, my reaction definitely wouldn't be to laugh it off. I would be asking, where the heck did that come from? Because that's not something people normally just joke about. And that really gets to the heart of what prosecutors seem to be suggesting here. Maybe Eric saying those things wasn't a joke at all. Maybe it was his way of warning people, of telling people he was scared. Now, another important detail that's been repeated during this trial: Eric had seasonal allergies, but there's no evidence he had severe food allergies. So the explanation that he suddenly had some kind of mysterious allergic reaction to food that night is something the jury will eventually have to weigh against everything else they're hearing. And honestly, that's why today's testimony was so powerful, because instead of just investigators talking about evidence, we heard from actual people in Eric's life. Friends who had conversations with him, friends who watched the dynamics of that marriage, friends who were close enough to hear the things Eric was worried about. So right now, the prosecution seems to be building this timeline. Eric believes he was poisoned on Valentine's Day. He tells multiple friends his relationship with Kouri is strained, there are financial issues, and just weeks later, Eric Richins is dead. This trial still has a lot more testimony coming, but if day 9 showed us anything, it's that Eric's concerns about being poisoned weren't something he kept to himself. He told people, and he told a lot of people. And now those same people are sitting in court telling the jury exactly what he said. Let me know what you think about today's testimony. Do you think Eric was genuinely trying to warn people? Or do you think it could have been misunderstood? Because after hearing everything from day 9, this case is starting to feel a lot bigger than just one night.